Hey, good Tuesday afternoon. Thanks for joining us for your forecast today. We have a big snowstorm ongoing across the southeast right now. We'll get to your headlines here in just a minute and talk about that snowstorm. But first, I want to take you out to Mobile, Alabama, where we have a live video from the snow-covered snow streets out there. You look at this video right here. You can see all of the snow that's on the streets right now. We've seen several cars go through this area. Thankfully, we haven't seen any traffic issues on these streets. My assumption through a lot of Alabama, Louisiana, going into Georgia and Florida is a lot of things are closed in these areas right now for a historic, very rare and record-breaking snowstorm. Live coverage right now from Alabama. This is in Mobile, Alabama right now, where we do have snow completely covering the roads. But I want to take you back to the forecast, and then we'll take you out to Louisiana, where they've been getting snow for about 24 hours now, actually shutting down an entire bridge here. You can actually see this bridge that goes from, it's I-10, it goes from Lafayette to Baton Rouge, and it's completely shut down. They've closed this entire thing off, and you can see why. Look how much snow is on the roads here. Absolutely impressive that we've seen this much accumulation of snow across Louisiana, Alabama, going into Georgia, and Florida, places that don't see snow at all, let alone inches on top of inches of snow. All right, let's get back into your forecast here. Let's talk about your headlines. On top of the snow, it's cold out there. Temperatures are 30 degrees below average for January for this time of the year. The Gulf Coast winter storm, that's what you just saw from those live cameras. It rages on, and we have had the first ever blizzard warning for portions of the Texas and Louisiana coastline. Very, very impressive there. We'll get a little bit more information on that here in just a few minutes. Now, whenever we talk about the cold weather, everyone across the U.S. has seen cold today. We get a little bit of relief over the next 24 to 48 hours. But before we get into your forecast, here is more information on the Raising Hail Tour. It's hard to talk about severe weather whenever we've got snow on the ground right now. We do have 6 different cities that you can visit the Raising Hail Tour. This is your chance to see Derek's forecast for severe weather season before anyone else does. And we've got a code for you. It's RHT. TAYLOR. RHT stands for Raising Hail Tour. Taylor 10. This code will get you $10 off of your ticket. That's usually $25. It's now $15. You get a free lunch, and you get a chance to win a Yeti cooler. Totally worth it for $15. And of course, that Raising Hail forecast. All right, let's see yesterday's storm reports. Nothing to report for any convective systems. However, we did see snow across the U.S. here, anywhere from Oklahoma all the way to Texas into Houston. There's that record-breaking snow that dropped all of that snow across southern Louisiana and into Alabama, Georgia, and going into the northern side of Florida right now. Of course, covering the ground with snow. You saw that in some of those videos just a few minutes ago. Temperatures above or below normal. Well, we're still below normal for most of the U.S. through the central and eastern side of the U.S. However, starting to see a little bit of relief moving into the north and South Dakota here. For tomorrow, even more impressive, where we see that relief start to move into the rest of the U.S., into Minnesota, into Iowa, into Missouri. Still staying cold, however, along the east coast. Now here's your current conditions. There's all of that snow down to the south. We've got that cold front anywhere from Houston all the way up to the Great Lakes. Right now, Florida is getting rain. However, it's so cold in this area, we could see that switching over to freezing rain and sleet within the next few hours. This will cause some icing issues in the northern side of Florida. Current temperatures are in the 20s, 20 degrees here in Oklahoma City. Colder the farther north that you go. 4 degrees below zero out in Minneapolis. Okay, I'm thankful for our 20s whenever I see 4 degrees below zero. 6 degrees in Kansas City, 3 degrees in Fort Wayne. If you're not getting all of that snow, you're getting the cold. Actually, a lot of our cold weather advisories were allowed to expire at noon, kind of giving some sign of hope for warmer weather over the next few days. Now, we are still dealing with that fire concern out in California, the southern side of California. Still a high wind warning in effect until 2 o'clock this afternoon, and a red flag warning in effect all the way through Thursday. So this is not only an issue today, it is still an issue tomorrow and Thursday as well. There's all of those winter storm alerts, okay? So we have a winter weather advisory here highlighted in purple, a winter storm warning highlighted in pink, and you can't see it anymore, but we did have a blizzard warning that covered from the eastern side of Texas into central Louisiana. This is the first ever blizzard warning for this area. Very, very impressive here. That just shows you how impressive this winter storm is. It is issuing or causing the first of many different alerts across the southern side of the U.S. The first blizzard warning. Here's what the National Weather Service is saying here. Low visibility, blowing snow, and hazardous road conditions are possible until noon today, but we could probably see those conditions for the next hour or two slowly letting up as we head into dinner time. We also have a lake effect snow warning just off of the Midwest and into the Northeast, so you can see that highlighted there in teal, that turquoise color. That goes until tomorrow as well. So lots going on across the U.S. You should have seen this map earlier. We had blue just scattered across the U.S. That has finally been allowed to expire. Taking a look at your future radar, you can see that we're still dealing with this snow not only over the next few hours, but really the next 24 hours. As this continues to track into the northern side, the panhandle of Florida, into Georgia, and then all the way up the East Coast into the Carolinas. There's a lot going on with this graphic, right? We have the snow, then we have the switch over to freezing rain and sleet, and then rain farther down to the south. So a little bit of everything. That's not the only area getting snow today. We are also watching for snow this evening up to the north. You know, I said it was getting a little bit warmer into this area, but it's still cold. It's still below zero. Up in Minneapolis, still cold enough to snow. So we are still watching for some snow anywhere from North and South Dakota out to Montana into Minnesota. And of course the Great Lakes. I think that we have some alerts up in the Great Lakes as well for some of that lake effect snow. All right, taking a look at tomorrow now. Early tomorrow morning, it's still snowing across the East Coast. So we're going to continue to see this as the sun comes up tomorrow. Snow is on the ground. You're waking up to either snow or ice in northern Florida. Turning our attention up to the north. Now this is not as much of a headline, however, still something to note. Some light snow coming into Nebraska, Kansas, Iowa, Indiana, all the way into Ohio, probably causing some really big lake effect snow conditions across the Midwest. Now, the biggest thing to note here, I think what we're really going to be watching for will be those snow accumulations in Michigan. So that's something to be watching for. Other than that, it's going to be light snow across the northern side of the U.S. Not terribly worried about that. The big headline today is, of course, what's going on down to the southeast. So let's take you back down to the southeast here. Southern Louisiana, we've already seen several inches of snow accumulating in this area, so our focus is now farther down to the south and east, into Florida, into Georgia, and North and South Carolina. At times, we could see up to about 8 inches of snow in this area, but for the most part, your snowfall totals are going to be about 2 to 4 inches, okay? As we head farther up to the north into places like Atlanta, those snowfall totals will go down and down and down as you head farther up to the north, which is kind of backwards. You know, usually you go to the north, you get higher snowfall totals. This time around, you go to the south, you get higher snowfall totals. As I mentioned, the rest of the snow that we're expecting for the week is going to be pretty minimal, unless you're up in the upper elevations and you could start to see some higher snowfall totals. The rest of the U.S., maybe just a light dusting across northern Nebraska, North and South Dakota, and some of those other states, Minnesota, Iowa that we were mentioning earlier. Now, one of the most impactful things that models have, it looks like, started to back off of this a little bit here, but still will impact your drive from northern Florida to Georgia to the Carolinas, is going to be the ice. Some really impressive ice accumulation here, and You know, the snow is going to shut down roads. That's going to be dangerous. It's really tough to drive on, especially with low visibility. But the ice is really what starts to get dangerous from some of these winter conditions. So if you have friends, if you have family in this area and they're not aware of that ice danger yet, make sure that you are reaching out to them so that they can do their due diligence. They can look up on Google exactly what they need to be aware of for this ice danger, because ice is really where you start to see the power outages, the slick roadways, the slick overpasses and bridges. And we could see some pretty impressive ice accumulations anywhere from Jacksonville, a place that we highlighted yesterday for winter weather, all the way up to Brunswick, into Savannah, Georgia, and even into Charleston, South Carolina, a place that doesn't often get snow or ice. The best areas, however, the most promising areas to get this ice accumulation will be Jacksonville, Florida. Here's your mix of snow and ice accumulations. You know, we always talk about that changeover from snow to ice. If you get higher snowfall totals, lower ice totals. If you get higher ice totals, lower snowfall totals. So you can see that changeover right here, just in the southern side of Georgia into the northern side of Florida. This graphic is one of my favorite graphics to show because it really shows where that freezing line is. Here's the freezing line. Here's your freezing rain. Here's your snow. Let's go ahead and get to 72-hour snowfall chances. We'll look at that. Here, I skipped over it, but we'll go back to it. All right. We already talked about the better snowfall totals down into southern Louisiana. You know, I think we got up to 6 inches in this area. Really, really impressive. New Orleans, a place that temperatures barely fall below 40 degrees, has tons of snow covering the ground. It's a historic event out there. Looking ahead into the end of the work week and into early this weekend, it looks like we're expecting another round of snow across the upper elevations, anywhere from Wyoming to Montana, and then down to the Rockies into Denver. So Denver, you could expect a few more inches of snow here as well. We're expecting another round of showers to come across the Midwest, so lake effect snow will be something that you're hearing once again later on this week and into the early portion of next week as well. Cooler temperatures are expected to move down into the northern half of the U.S. by later this week as well, where some of us are finally starting to warm up. It does look like we're expecting to get some cold temps up to the north. This will continue through the later portion of this week. As I mentioned, you know, we're talking about snow during this time as well. So let's take a look at those temperatures. Temperatures are bottoming out tomorrow morning at 27 here in Oklahoma City. That's an improvement from what we saw today. Hey, I'll take it. 7 more degrees, I'll take it. 23 in Kansas City, getting you out of the single digits. 18 in Minneapolis, at least we're warming above 0 tomorrow. 10 degrees out in Chicago tomorrow afternoon. It looks like any of that snow that's on the ground here in Oklahoma City will finally start to melt off. 37, finally above freezing here in Oklahoma City. And that's very similar to what we see down in Texas as well. Holding on to that 32-degree mark out in Houston, and still staying cold into the northern portion of Florida, southern portion of Louisiana and Alabama. It looks like temperatures are still staying below freezing down there as well. So any snow that is on the ground today will most likely stay until we get above that 32-degree mark, which could be as late as Thursday afternoon. So you are going to expect snow not only today, but also tomorrow and into Thursday morning. It's going to stay on the ground for quite some time. All right, I mentioned temperatures are cooling back down up to the north, 3 degrees below 0 once again in Minneapolis by later this week. It's just it's one of those times of the year that we have a roller coaster of temperatures that go just barely above 0, barely above freezing, and right back down to below 0. 50 degrees on Friday afternoon in Oklahoma City. That sounds pretty nice this time of the year. It's better than the 20 that we have right now. All right, taking a look at the end of January. So we're into the last week of January here. What are we expecting? Colder temperatures out to the west. We have a good chance to be below average for this time of the year. Maybe warming up a little bit where we have snow on the ground right now, down to the south and east and up into the Midwest. What about the extended rain outlook? So this is your chance to see rainfall totals or snow, kind of depending on the temperature this time of the year. So any precipitation above or below average. Highlighted in the green is above average, so a chance to be wetter than normal. And then up to the north, a chance to be drier than average for this time of the year. Lots going on in this forecast today. Thanks for sticking with us. We showed you live cameras across Louisiana and Alabama. We also talked about that winter weather, both snow and ice accumulations from Alabama to Georgia, all the way up to the Carolinas and the northern side of Florida. So for more weather updates, of course, we cover severe weather as well. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. And if you're interested in a hail, wind, or tornado map, we, of course, are mapping storms year-round. Follow us and give us a call at 855-334-4245 or email us at info@hailtrace.com. Head over to our website for more information at hailtrace.com. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you back here for your forecast, same time, same place tomorrow.